If you're over 60, there's one food you eat believing it's the best protein source available, but it could actually be slowing down your muscle growth without you realizing it. You have eggs for breakfast thinking you're building strength, but by evening, you feel weaker than you did at lunch. No obvious warning signs, no dramatic changes to alert you. You go to bed believing you're eating perfectly for muscle maintenance, but something crucial is missing from your protein that eggs simply cannot provide. Weeks pass, months pass. Your muscle mass continues declining despite eating adequate protein. Your strength fades gradually. Tasks that used to be effortless now require tremendous effort. And one day you realize that all those eggs haven't prevented the muscle loss that's stealing your independence. Sarcopenia, silent and devastating, all because you trusted the wrong protein source for your aging body. I'm Dr. James Whitaker, and I've seen this protein mistake rob countless seniors of their strength and mobility, not because they weren't eating enough protein or exercising regularly, but because they were relying on a protein source that can't overcome the unique challenges of aging muscle metabolism. Today, I'm going to reveal the exact foods that helped a 92-year-old woman gain 3 pounds of muscle in just 8 weeks. Foods that outperformed eggs so dramatically that her muscle protein synthesis rates match those of someone 30 years younger. If you or someone you love is over 60 and struggling to maintain muscle mass despite eating plenty of protein, this video could revolutionize your approach to aging strong. So don't look away. Let's begin. Before we dive in, if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you hit that button and turn on the bell so you never miss another health tip made just for you. If you enjoy this video, type 1 in the comments. If not, type 0 to let me know how I can make better content for you. The egg deception, why your gold standard is fool's gold. There's a protein myth that has dominated nutrition advice for decades, leading millions of seniors down a path of gradual muscle loss disguised as healthy eating. The myth says eggs are the perfect protein, the gold standard, the one food that should anchor every senior's diet for maintaining muscle mass. But here's what your doctor doesn't understand about aging muscle metabolism. After 60, your body doesn't just need complete protein. It needs specific proteins with hidden properties that eggs simply don't possess. Proteins that can bypass the resistance your aging muscles have developed to normal protein sources. Let me tell you about Mrs. Dorothy Martinez, a 92-year-old former nurse from Phoenix, Arizona. Sharp, determined, and absolutely committed to maintaining her independence, Dorothy had been following conventional protein advice religiously. 3 eggs every morning, perfectly cooked. High-quality protein with every meal. She was doing everything right according to standard nutritional guidelines. But over the past year, Dorothy had been losing the battle against muscle loss. Getting out of her favorite armchair required using her arms for leverage. Carrying her groceries from the car left her breathless. Climbing the single step into her home had become a challenge that filled her with dread. When Dorothy came to my clinic for a routine appointment, she mentioned her growing weakness with frustration in her voice. "Doctor, I eat my eggs every morning just like I have for 60 years. I follow all the protein advice. Why am I getting weaker?" Her blood work was normal. Her heart was strong. But when I examined her muscle mass and strength, the picture became alarming. Dorothy had lost nearly 20% of her muscle mass in just 18 months. Her grip strength had declined to dangerously low levels. Most concerning, her leg muscles, crucial for balance and mobility, showed severe wasting despite her protein-rich diet. The problem wasn't that Dorothy wasn't eating enough protein. The problem was that eggs, despite being complete proteins, couldn't overcome 3 critical challenges that face every person over 60. First, eggs lack the rapid absorption rate that aging muscles desperately need. As we age, we develop what I call a narrowing anabolic window. Young muscles can use protein for hours after eating, but older muscles need a rapid spike in amino acids to trigger growth, and eggs take 3 to 4 hours to fully break down and reach your bloodstream. Second, eggs don't contain enough leucine, the master amino acid that acts like a key to unlock muscle growth in aging bodies. While eggs provide 1.3 grams of leucine per serving, research shows that seniors need at least 3 grams of leucine per meal to overcome age-related anabolic resistance. Third, and most critically, Eggs don't provide the anti-inflammatory compounds that aging muscles require to build efficiently. Chronic inflammation in seniors can block muscle protein synthesis by up to 50%, and eggs offer no protection against this hidden destroyer. When I explained this to Dorothy and introduced her to what I call the power protein protocol, her transformation was nothing short of miraculous. Within 3 weeks, she noticed increased energy during her morning routine. After 6 weeks, she could climb her front step without hesitation. 3 months later, Dorothy had gained 3 pounds of pure muscle mass and felt stronger than she had in years. I never imagined that changing which proteins I ate could make such a dramatic difference, Dorothy told me during her follow-up visit. I thought all protein was the same. I was so wrong. You might wonder how it's possible that your muscles could resist the protein you're giving them. The answer lies in how dramatically your body changes after age 60. Changes that most doctors don't fully understand or address with their patients. When you're young, your muscles are like eager students, ready to learn and grow from any protein lesson you teach them. But as you age, your muscles become like skeptical professors who need much more convincing evidence before they'll respond. This condition is called anabolic resistance, and it's why your grandmother's protein advice won't work for maintaining muscle today. Your aging muscles have developed 3 specific barriers that eggs cannot overcome. The first barrier is digestive efficiency. Your stomach produces 40% less acid after age 70. Your digestive enzymes work slower and less effectively. This means that even when you eat high-quality protein like eggs, your body struggles to break it down into the individual amino acids your muscles need. The second barrier is leucine sensitivity. Young muscles can trigger protein synthesis with just 1 to 2 grams of leucine, but aging muscles need 3 to 4 grams of leucine in a concentrated dose to flip the muscle-building switch. This is why eating more eggs doesn't solve the problem. You'd need to eat 5 eggs at once to get enough leucine, which brings its own problems. The third barrier is inflammatory interference. Chronic low-grade inflammation increases with age, and this inflammation actively blocks the signals that tell your muscles to grow. Eggs provide no anti-inflammatory compounds to combat this hidden enemy of muscle building. Mr. Frank Rodriguez, a 69-year-old retired construction worker from San Antonio, experienced this resistance firsthand. Frank was eating over 100 grams of protein daily, far more than the standard recommendations. He was having eggs with breakfast, chicken with lunch, and beef with dinner. But Frank kept getting weaker. His legs, which had carried him through decades of physical labor, could barely support him for a full day of light gardening. His arms, once strong enough to handle heavy construction equipment, struggled with basic household tasks like opening stubborn jars. When I analyzed Frank's protein intake, the problem became clear. Even though Frank was eating plenty of total protein, he wasn't getting the right types of protein at the right times to overcome his age-related anabolic resistance. We completely restructured Frank's protein strategy, replacing his morning eggs with targeted power proteins that could bypass his aging body's resistance mechanisms. The results were dramatic. Within 2 months, Frank had regained significant strength in his legs and arms. He could work in his garden for hours without fatigue, and even returned to some light construction projects he'd given up years earlier. But if you think the solution is simply eating more protein, there's something crucial you need to understand about the specific proteins that can overcome anabolic resistance and rebuild muscle even at 90 years old. If you're still watching and finding these insights helpful, please comment number 1 below to let me know you're with me. Power protein. Number 1, the 60-minute muscle builder. The first protein that outperformed eggs in my 92-year-old patient's transformation is something you can dissolve in water and have working in your muscles within 60 minutes. It's whey protein, and the research on its superiority over eggs for aging adults is absolutely compelling. When researchers at McMaster University compared whey protein to egg protein in adults over 75, the results were so dramatic they repeated the study twice to confirm the findings. The whey protein group gained double the muscle mass of the egg protein group. Double! But here's what made the difference. It wasn't just about the amount of protein. It was about speed and concentration. Whey protein hits your bloodstream within 60 minutes of consumption. Eggs take 3 to 4 hours. By the time egg protein reaches peak levels in your blood, your aging muscles have missed their optimal building window. Whey protein also delivers 2.5 grams of leucine per serving compared to eggs' 1.3 grams. This means whey can actually trigger the muscle-building signal that eggs cannot provide in sufficient concentration. Mrs. Helen Chen, a 71-year-old retired teacher from Seattle, discovered this difference accidentally. Helen had been taking protein supplements with her dinner for months with minimal results. She was growing discouraged and considering abandoning her muscle-building efforts entirely. Then Helen's routine changed when she started caring for her elderly mother. She began waking much earlier and found herself drinking her whey protein first thing in the morning instead of with dinner, simply because it was more convenient with her new schedule. Within 2 weeks of this timing change, Helen noticed dramatically improved energy and strength. Her morning stiffness disappeared. Tasks that had been challenging became manageable again. The only difference was consuming whey protein when her muscles were most receptive to its signals. The secret lies in whey's unique amino acid profile. It contains 25% branched-chain amino acids compared to eggs' 20%. And these BCAAs work together like a 3-person rescue team for aging muscles. Leucine signals muscle growth, isoleucine increases glucose uptake for energy, and valine prevents muscle breakdown during activity. But whey protein has another advantage that eggs lack entirely: immunoglobulins. These antibodies don't just boost immunity, they reduce gut inflammation that impairs protein absorption in older adults. Studies show that regular whey consumption improves overall protein utilization from all food sources by 15%. For Dorothy, we started every morning with a whey protein smoothie, but it was what we added that amplified its power. Frozen berries provided antioxidants that protected amino acids during absorption. A teaspoon of Ceylon cinnamon improved insulin sensitivity by up to 20%, ensuring more protein reached her muscles instead of being converted to glucose. The transformation was remarkable. Within the first month, Dorothy could feel the difference in her energy levels throughout the day. The afternoon fatigue that had plagued her for years began to fade. Simple tasks like making her bed or doing light housework no longer left her exhausted. Power protein. Number 2, the overnight muscle guardian. While whey protein works rapidly during the day, there's another protein that works while you sleep, preventing the overnight muscle breakdown that accelerates dramatically with age. This protein is casein, and you'll find it in its most powerful form in cottage cheese. Here's what happens while you sleep that eggs cannot prevent. Your muscles begin cannibalizing themselves for fuel. It's called overnight catabolism, and after age 60, you can lose more muscle during 8 hours of sleep than you build during 16 hours of being awake. Cottage cheese contains almost pure casein protein, which forms a gel in your stomach that releases amino acids drop by drop throughout the night. Dutch researchers gave older adults cottage cheese before bed and observed something remarkable. Their muscles kept building even during sleep. But the magic goes deeper than just sustained protein release. Casein protein contains bioactive peptides that lower blood pressure and improve sleep quality. Better sleep means higher growth hormone release, which directly stimulates muscle growth. It's a cascade effect where better protein leads to better sleep, which leads to better muscle synthesis. Mr. Anthony Davis, a 74-year-old retired accountant from Miami, struggled with severe overnight muscle loss until he discovered this principle. Anthony would go to bed feeling relatively strong, but wake up stiff, weak, and exhausted despite getting 8 hours of sleep. When Anthony started eating cottage cheese 30 minutes before bed, mixed with crushed walnuts and a dash of vanilla extract, his morning transformation was dramatic. He began waking up feeling refreshed and strong instead of stiff and depleted. The muscle mass he'd been losing overnight began stabilizing, then actually increasing. Cottage cheese offers something even more valuable for aging bodies. It's the richest dietary source of selenium. Selenium deficiency affects 60% of people over 70 and directly causes muscle weakness. 1 cup of cottage cheese provides enough selenium to restore muscle strength within weeks. The calcium content, 14% of daily needs per cup, works synergistically with the protein. Calcium doesn't just build bones, it's essential for muscle contraction. Low calcium means weak muscle contractions, regardless of muscle size. Studies show that the calcium-protein combination in cottage cheese improves functional strength by 25% more than protein alone. For Dorothy, we made cottage cheese her evening protein ritual. She would mix it with a tablespoon of ground flaxseed for omega-3s and a teaspoon of raw honey for natural enzymes that aided protein digestion. This combination provided sustained amino acid release throughout the night while improving sleep quality. The results were evident within weeks. Dorothy reported waking up with less stiffness and more energy. The gradual muscle wasting that had been occurring during her sleep hours was not only stopped, but reversed. Her body was finally building muscle during rest instead of breaking it down. Power protein number 3, the inflammation fighter that rebuilds muscle. The third protein that transformed Dorothy's muscle health doesn't just feed muscles, it renovates them at the cellular level by fighting the chronic inflammation that eggs cannot address. This protein is wild salmon, and it contains compounds that can literally reverse age-related muscle damage. Here's what happens in aging muscles that eggs cannot prevent. Chronic inflammation slowly destroys muscle tissue from within. It's like rust forming on a car engine. The protein in eggs can provide building materials, but it cannot stop the inflammatory rust that's continuously damaging the structure. The EPA and DHA omega-3 fatty acids in wild salmon act like anti-rust treatment for your muscles. When University of Washington researchers gave older adults omega-3s equivalent to eating salmon 3 times weekly, something unprecedented happened. Without changing exercise or other proteins, participants gained 6% more muscle mass. But here's the breakthrough discovery. The omega-3s didn't just help salmon protein work better. They made the participants more sensitive to all protein sources. The anti-inflammatory compounds had reversed their anabolic resistance. The mechanism is fascinating. Omega-3s incorporate into muscle cell membranes, making them more fluid and responsive to growth signals. They also activate mTOR, the master regulator of muscle protein synthesis, while simultaneously reducing inflammatory markers like TNF-alpha and IL-6 that trigger muscle breakdown. Mrs. Patricia Williams, a 68-year-old from Denver, experienced this anti-inflammatory effect dramatically. Patricia had been eating adequate protein from various sources, but chronic inflammation from arthritis seemed to block any muscle-building benefits. Her inflammatory markers were consistently elevated, and despite her efforts, she continued losing muscle mass. When we added wild salmon to Patricia's diet 3 times per week, her transformation extended far beyond muscle building. Her arthritis pain decreased significantly, her energy levels improved, and for the first time in years, she began gaining muscle mass instead of losing it. Wild salmon also provides up to 1,000 IU of vitamin D per serving, something eggs cannot offer. Vitamin D doesn't just help with calcium absorption, it directly activates muscle protein synthesis through vitamin D receptors on muscle cells. Studies show that correcting vitamin D deficiency alone can increase muscle strength by 20% in older adults. The pink color in salmon comes from astaxanthin, an antioxidant that specifically protects muscle mitochondria, your cellular power plants. As we age, these power plants shut down one by one, but astaxanthin keeps them running efficiently. This is why salmon eaters report less fatigue during physical activity. For Dorothy, we made wild salmon her dinner protein twice weekly, always prepared by gentle baking or poaching to preserve the delicate omega-3 fats. We paired it with colorful vegetables that provided additional antioxidants, creating a powerful anti-inflammatory meal that supported muscle building throughout the night. But if you think these 3 proteins alone created Dorothy's transformation, there's one more critical element that multiplied their effectiveness and turned her from muscle losing to muscle building at age 92. Power protein number 4, the plant protein that defies convention. The 4th protein in Dorothy's transformation challenges everything we've been told about plant proteins being inferior for muscle building. Hemp seeds might be the most underrated protein source on the planet, and 3 tablespoons provide 10 grams of complete protein that aging bodies actually prefer over eggs. Here's why hemp seeds are revolutionary for seniors. The protein in hemp seeds is called edestan, and it's almost identical to the proteins in your blood plasma. Your body recognizes it immediately. No complex breakdown needed, no digestive stress. It's like speaking your muscles' native language. But the real magic lies in the fatty acid profile. Hemp seeds contain the perfect 3-to-1 ratio of omega-6 to omega-3 that reduces inflammation while building muscle. Eggs, in contrast, have a 20-to-1 ratio that actually promotes inflammation in aging bodies already fighting chronic inflammatory conditions. The gamma-linolenic acid, GLA, in hemp seeds converts to DGLA in your body, which has powerful anti-inflammatory effects specifically in muscle tissue. Studies show that GLA supplementation reduces muscle soreness by 40% and improves recovery time in older adults. Mr. Robert Thompson, a 72-year-old retired farmer from Iowa, discovered hemp seeds when he was struggling with both muscle loss and chronic joint pain from decades of physical labor. The combination of persistent inflammation and declining muscle mass was threatening his ability to maintain his property. Within 2 months of adding 3 tablespoons of hemp seeds daily to his morning smoothie, Robert experienced a transformation that surprised even me. Not only did his muscle mass stabilize and begin increasing, but his joint pain decreased significantly. The anti-inflammatory effects of hemp seeds were working synergistically with their muscle-building properties. Hemp seeds also provide more arginine per serving than any other protein source. Arginine dilates blood vessels, improving nutrient delivery to muscles. As we age, circulation weakens, starving muscles of the nutrients they need. The arginine in hemp seeds can improve exercise capacity in older adults by 20%. But arginine does something else remarkable. It stimulates growth hormone release. Growth hormone declines by 50% between ages 40 and 70, contributing significantly to muscle loss. The arginine in hemp seeds can increase growth hormone release by up to 30%, especially when consumed before bed or after physical activity. For Dorothy, we added hemp seeds to her morning whey protein smoothie and sprinkled them on her Greek yogurt snacks. The combination of rapid-acting whey protein with sustained anti-inflammatory support from hemp seeds created an optimal environment for muscle building throughout the day. Hemp seeds require zero preparation, travel anywhere, and never spoil when stored properly. Dorothy often carried a small container with her for convenient protein whenever she needed it. This accessibility was crucial for maintaining consistent protein intake throughout her transformation. Now let me reveal exactly how Dorothy combined these power proteins to create synergistic effects that multiplied their individual benefits. This wasn't about replacing eggs with one alternative. It was about creating a strategic protocol that addressed every aspect of age-related muscle loss. Dorothy's morning started with whey protein blended with berries, hemp seeds, and Ceylon cinnamon. The whey provided rapid leucine to trigger muscle building. The berries' anthocyanins protected amino acids during absorption, increasing uptake by 20%. The hemp seeds added anti-inflammatory omega-3s that made muscle cells more receptive to protein signals. The cinnamon improved insulin sensitivity, ensuring amino acids entered muscle cells rather than being converted to glucose. But here's the strategic element. Dorothy consumed this smoothie 30 minutes after her morning stretches. Even light movement increases blood flow to muscles by 40%, creating what I call an absorption highway that delivered nutrients exactly when muscles were most receptive. Mid-morning brought Greek yogurt with ground flaxseed and crushed walnuts. The probiotics in yogurt don't just aid digestion, they actively produce vitamin K2 and reduce inflammatory compounds that would otherwise block protein synthesis. The flaxseed added lignans that improved insulin sensitivity for the rest of the day. Lunch featured what we called the complete protein bowl, lentils and quinoa cooked together in bone broth with turmeric and black pepper. The lentils provided plant protein with anti-inflammatory fiber. The quinoa contributed all essential amino acids in optimal ratios. The bone broth doubled the protein content while adding collagen for joint health. The afternoon snack was cottage cheese with a square of 85% dark chocolate and crushed almonds. The cottage cheese prevented the 3 p.m. muscle breakdown that accelerates with age. The dark chocolate's epicatechins improved muscle blood flow and reduced exercise fatigue by 20%. Dinner brought wild salmon with roasted vegetables and sweet potato. The omega-3s from salmon made every protein Dorothy had consumed that day work more effectively by reducing inflammation and improving insulin sensitivity. The colorful vegetables provided antioxidants that protected muscle-building nutrients. Before bed, Dorothy's final protein dose was cottage cheese mixed with almond butter and vanilla extract. This combination provided slow-release casein protein throughout the night, while the healthy fats slowed absorption even further, ensuring sustained muscle building during sleep. Each meal enhanced the others. The morning whey made muscles sensitive to protein throughout the day. The probiotics from yogurt improved total protein absorption. The omega-3s from salmon reduced inflammation that could block protein synthesis. The variety ensured no nutrient deficiencies could limit muscle growth. As we conclude today's discussion, I want you to envision your life 6 months from now. Picture yourself moving with confidence, tackling daily activities with ease, feeling strong and capable regardless of your chronological age. This isn't wishful thinking. It's an achievable reality when you provide your muscles with the right proteins at the right times. Dorothy's transformation from a weakening 92-year-old to a muscle-gaining success story proves that age doesn't determine your muscle-building potential. The right proteins consumed strategically can overcome decades of gradual decline and restore strength you thought was permanently lost. The power proteins I've shared, whey, cottage cheese, wild salmon, and hemp seeds, are available at any grocery store. You don't need expensive supplements, medical clearance, or complex meal planning. Your muscles are ready to respond when you provide the right signals. But knowledge without action changes nothing. Every day you delay implementing these strategies is another day of continued muscle loss. Every day you apply this protocol is a day you're actively building strength for your future independence. Remember, your muscles don't know your age. They only respond to the signals you provide through nutrition and movement. Give them the right signals consistently, and they will surprise you with their capacity for growth and renewal. Start today with one change. Replace your morning eggs with a whey protein smoothie. Add cottage cheese to your evening routine. Include wild salmon twice weekly. Sprinkle hemp seeds on your yogurt. Each small change builds momentum toward the transformation that's waiting for you. Your strongest days aren't behind you. They're ahead of you, waiting to be created through the power of strategic protein choices. The question isn't whether this protocol works. The question is, will you give your muscles the opportunity to show you what they're still capable of achieving? Thank you for joining me today. Here's to your strength, your independence, and the muscle-building journey that begins with your very next meal. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a comment with 1. If not, feel free to comment with 0. Your feedback means everything to us. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more life-changing health content. Thank you for watching, and here's to building the strength that will carry you confidently into your golden years.